Hey everybody, Shane Terrio here. Thanks for joining me again today on the channel. Today we're talking about small amps, a little small talk about small amps. And this is one of my favorite ones. I'm going to tell you about it in a sec. First, let's listen to it. What does it sound like? All right, thanks for listening to that little jam. That's this amplifier. It's a 68 Fender Champ. I think it's a 68. Somewhere abouts there. Maybe one of you experts out there could tell me. I know it's not original. It has a replaced speaker. I've changed tubes and things. But this is my favorite small amp for recording, and I used it a lot over the years. I've used it on tons of recordings and records and sessions. If you have any of my solo records, I have one called Dirty Power, and basically all the guitars were done with this amp, pretty much 99% of them with various guitars and overdrive pedals, but this amp was the main amp. And it's simple, 3 knobs. One of the things I like about small amps, they're usually pretty simple, easy to dial in. You know, you can't go wrong with a little Fender amp. I mean, they sound great. I used to work for a producer named John Porter a lot, and John, British producer, he produced a lot of stuff like The Smiths and B.B. King. He was in Roxy Music for a while, tons of stuff, famous records. And every time he'd call me for a session, the message would always, he would give me the dates and stuff, and then the last thing he would say would be, "Bring the Champ." He loved this amp. So this is my baby for small amps, my main one. Moving on to its older sibling, as it were. This is a 65 Blackface Vibro Champ amp. This one is completely stock, completely original. It's even got the original tubes, and it's got this beautiful vibrato. It's technically a tremolo, but Fender call it vibrato. Beautiful circuit. But you know what? I like the Silverface better for recording. The Silverface has got a nice crunch when you just dime it. This one, it's okay. It's a little harsh, but it's a beautiful, clean sound, and it's a great amplifier. I do like it. And just one of these things I use every so often. All right, moving up the food chain. This is obviously a Tweed Deluxe of some denomination. This one is by Tungsten. And my friend Greg V, I'll give him a shout out. He's the one that hit me to this amp, and he told me, he said, "Shane, you're going to use this thing all the time. It's super versatile, perfect combination. It's got slightly higher wattage." Now, I do have a Fender Tweed Deluxe. I don't use it that much because it just farts out too easily. I mean, that's the tone. But for what I do in my projects, it's a kind of a one-trick pony, but it's a great sound. This amp kind of gives you the best of both worlds, because it's 20 watts and it's just got a little more iron to it. I could actually do a gig, a pretty loud gig at the Baked Potato here in LA. I've used this several times, and it holds up and it doesn't break up. That's one of the things, the limitations of the small amps. If you're playing on bigger stages, I'll go into in a minute. This amp sees a lot of action, and I just used it a few days ago. I got a last minute call to go work with an artist named Marco Antonio Solis. He's a very famous Mexican pop singer, and he wanted a couple guitar solos, and they rented out a beautiful room at East West in Hollywood. I brought this amp, and it's been there a few times, but I'll show you a little footage from that. So this is the iconic room at East West, Studio 2. A lot of famous stuff's been done in this room. Theme for the Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, Whitney Houston, I'll Always Love You, right in that booth. Soundgarden, and you name it, it's tons of things I'm missing. And that's what I'm using today for overdubs. One little amp, Tweed Deluxe clone. It's a nice studio to come in and do 2 guitar solos. So this is a great amp as well. I'm not endorsed by them, but I do use it a lot. And 112 Celestian speaker, very easy to dial in. I don't really need reverb. I like reverb, but I can add it post if I need to. So to recap, small amps, they're portable, they're lightweight usually, they're easy to dial in. They're fairly versatile. If you get, even a couple of good Boss pedals, you can pretty much do what you need to do. If you can play and you have a couple decent effects in a little amp like that Champ, decent mic, I mean, you can get a lot out of those amps. They're great for recording. Like I said, here's the things I don't like about them. I don't like them for medium or large gigs, even some smaller gigs. I personally, as a player, I like headroom. I need some clean headroom. When I dig in, I don't want to have that saturation. It's a cool sound if you're playing, in a Faces cover band or Black Crowes or something, but it's hard to get I can't ride volume. I can't do that thing with it. It doesn't work for me personally. I brought an 18 watt amp one night to Baked Potato, and it was just mush. I had a dime. There's no dynamics. So I like big amplifiers. I know guys now they're on that, on the wagon of, hey, why does anybody need a 100 watt Marshall anymore? That's dinosaur amp. I'm selling all that. I gave that up years ago, and let the PA do the work. I kind of think some of that's bullshit myself. I mean, I personally play on medium, bigger stages, very large stages sometimes. That would never work. I've tried it. And I don't like that concept of miking up your amplifier, a small amp that, is on the verge of dying. It wasn't designed to, be used that way. You mic it up, you put it through a console. There's a monitor guy on the side with his own digital console. God knows what kind of EQ is going on there. By the time it gets back to you, it just sounds terrible. It sounds like shit. That's just my opinion. But some guys make them work, and good for you. I like bigger iron, and I'm going to do, those amps are on the road right now. I'm going to do a video at some point about some of my live amps. I have a Soldano SLO 100 and a Bassman. I think that's 40 watts, 67 Bassman. It's plenty loud. And a Fuchs ODS Bassman. That's 50 watts. I don't need to be loud, but I like to have that iron, the girth, and the width, something about it. I prefer that. So may not work for you, but small amps are awesome. I recommend everybody have 1 or 2, and they're great grab and go. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Hope you enjoyed this. Give me a like, subscribe if you like this, or maybe even if you didn't, just hit it. All right, see you next time.